In early 1942, as Japanese forces swept across Southeast Asia, the world witnessed a crisis that would reshape the entire Asian theater of World War II: the closure of the Burma Road. This twisting 700-kilometer lifeline, carved into mountains and jungles, had been China's only major supply route from the outside world. When it felt like a continent itself had stopped breathing. For years before the road closed, China had been fighting a desperate war of survival against the expanding Japanese empire. Since 1937, Chinese armies battled valiantly, but were heavily outmatched. Ammunition, fuel, medical supplies, even food. Much of it flowed through the Burma Road. The Allies relied on this route to keep China alive, believing that a resisting China tied down hundreds of thousands of Japanese troops. The Burma Road was more than a highway. It was the artery of Asian resistance. But all of this began to crumble after Japan's lightning victories in late 1941 and early 1942. When Japan conquered Malaya, Singapore, and the Philippines, their eyes turned toward Burma, a weakly defended British colony that held the key to cutting China off from Allied support. In January 1942, Japanese troops crossed into Burma, moving with the same astonishing speed that had shocked the world weeks earlier. The British command underestimated the threat. Troops stationed in Burma were poorly trained and under-equipped compared to the battle-hardened Japanese divisions. The terrain, jungles, mountains, rivers, helped the invaders, who were masters of rapid movement and infiltration. One by one, Burma's major towns fell. Rangoon, the capital and key port city, collapsed in March 1942. Its fall was catastrophic. Not only did it cut off Allied shipping, but it severed the last strong supply link to the Burma Road. Refugees poured north. Civilians fled with whatever they could carry: children, animals, bundles of clothing, sacks of rice. Roads clogged with thousands of people trying to escape. The air was thick with smoke and fear. Meanwhile, Allied commanders struggled to organize a defense. British, Indian, Chinese, and American advisors were thrown into the chaos, but the Japanese advance was too fast, too coordinated, too overwhelming. Their control of the skies made resistance nearly impossible. By April 1942, the last Allied defenders along the Burma Road were pushed back. Bridges were blown up to slow the Japanese, but it was futile. The enemy pressed forward relentlessly. Soon, the terrifying truth became clear. The Burma Road was cut. China was effectively isolated. The impact was immediate and devastating. General Chiang Kai-shek, leader of China, realized that the country now stood almost alone. American supplies dwindled. British aid evaporated. Banks closed. Fuel shortages crippled transportation. Morale collapsed across cities and battlefronts. The already fragile Chinese economy began to break. In the United States, President Roosevelt and his advisors were stunned. They had seen China as a partner crucial to holding Japan in check. Now, with the Burma Road closed, the U.S. faced a strategic disaster. They shifted urgently to new plans: flying supplies over the Himalayas, a dangerous mission known as the Hump, and planning the construction of the Lido Road in India. But these would take months, even years, to become effective. For civilians trapped in Burma, the fall of the road marked the beginning of one of the most harrowing refugee crises of the war. Families trekked through jungles for days without food. Torrential rains turned pathways into rivers of mud. Disease spread quickly. Thousands perished on the escape routes north into China and west toward India. Even soldiers were not spared. The British retreat from Burma is remembered as one of the most exhausting, desperate withdrawals of the war. Units became scattered, communications broke down. Many died from exhaustion, malaria, or starvation. The Japanese, now in firm control of Burma, celebrated a major strategic triumph. By cutting the Burma Road, they achieved one of their primary wartime goals, isolating China and weakening its will to fight. They fortified positions across Burma, turning the land into a defensive buffer zone to guard their newly captured territories. But the closure of the Burma Road also planted the seeds of a long struggle. The Allies, angered and determined, made Burma a critical target in the years that followed. Chinese troops trained in India, British and American forces regrouped, guerrilla fighters launched sabotage missions. The jungles of Burma became a battleground for years as the Allies slowly fought to reopen the supply line. The fall of the Burma Road was more than a geographical loss. It was a symbolic one. It represented the destruction of hope, the choking of a nation under siege, and the dawning realization that the war in Asia would be brutal, long, and costly. But it also forged new alliances, strengthened international resolve, and set the stage for some of the most heroic efforts of the war. When the Burma Road finally reopened in 1945, it was not just a highway restored, it was a symbol of survival. The road had fallen, but the determination of those who depended on it never did.